Welcome to Monday Night Live, the weekly training that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and start building your wealth.
Okay, well, guys, tonight we're blessed to have Kirk Perry on again, Rose Michelle's husband, and you guys, the Rose Michelle and Kirk, this would be a good time to smile. Smiley short. They're a great couple, guys. I've gotten to know them a little bit over the last year and a half, and I really feel lucky to have Rose Michelle on the team. She's one of the top attractors as far as the Asian attraction huddle. Started out from scratch in January. Now she's leading the pack. So her husband Kirk was with Meta for I think 8 years. Is that right, Kirk? About 8 years, and worked on the AI development team. So in any case, if you look at the comments, you're going to see a comment there from I think it was Janai. Let me go back up. There it is. Huge fan and supporter of Kirk Perry and B&A 72 because it works. It's awesome. And I've used it. And we use it when we create ads, when we write copy for ads, we use what we got from Kirk, basically prompt AI or basically frame it saying, given this assessment of me in this ad that we're running, please rewrite the ad reflecting more of me from the assessment. Whereas Michelle's done it, Connie's done it. I'm trying to think who else. Probably Sean. Yep, Janai. Yep. And I'm telling you, it worked. The numbers speak for themselves. If you look at like Connie's ads, for example, her ads pull more by sometimes 30 to 40% more than the other ads. So in any case, I don't want to try to sell Kirk on you because I think what he's going to do tonight is going to pretty much blow your socks off. So in any case, Kirk, I made you a co-host. You're welcome to share your screen. And Rose Michelle, if you wouldn't mind, help me keep an eye on people signing in the chat box. We'll keep it promoted and keep an eye on the chat. And Kirk, you just let me know if you want a break or something. We can take questions as they come, or at the end if you want to do that.
Thank you so much, Gary. I will hit the ground running. Thank you for the introduction. You set a high bar, and hopefully I can and leap over that. So, what's really important is if you guys have any questions, if anyone has a question, please ask. I'm going to focus heavily on presenting just because of the time, and I want to be very respectful. And then the other thing is if you guys have a question, Gary, Rose, Michelle, if you guys can call it out for me and let me know that there's something that's pressing, I will address it. But I'd hate to look for questions and miss out on me delivering. So the bigger thing is what we're going to talk about is a little more of an advanced tip in AI and one of the bigger issues with AI. And I don't know, the question I would ask for everyone is if they're familiar with the word sycophancy. Has your AI ever told you no? And there's a word for that. A lot of people can prompt something, and then AI is very agreeable with whatever you put it to be. And I've tested this. I recently did a test just last week around this where I just kept changing the goalposts and it just kept agreeing. Oh, yeah, you're right about that. And you're right about that. Even if I was wrong and I knew I was wrong. Yeah, you're right about that. And you're right about that. And I think that's really important to anchor around this era where AI is so relevant and needed as a tool for individuals and businesses, but to understand the danger of using that tool in the wrong way and miscalculating its ability to be very agreeable to you and giving you praise you didn't earn. And so over the next 15 minutes, I'll ask you at the end whether you caught it. And this isn't like some big test. It's there is going to be sycophancy that you see, and you will hopefully catch it. And if you don't, I will explain the nuances and the levels of sycophancy because I can say I am a real estate agent, and AI doesn't know if I'm a real estate agent. I'm not one, but I can tell it I'm a real estate agent, and it will agree with me that I'm a real estate agent. And so that is a very low level sycophancy approach to it. There's going to be more aggressive ones. And so What I did was use a tool called Breaker Believer. And this is important because at the end of this, I will give you the exact prompt that I use to load in Breaker and Believer. It's a tool that I've developed that allows you to test ideas and problems and directions using AI and also to fight against that sycophancy. And so what I typed was that my seller wants to list at 875. The three closest comps came in at 780 and 790 and 795. And so he's ready to sign this week, and I don't want to lose the listing. Help me build the case for 875. And when I used it, the first thing that it came back to me was, and I also ran these as live chats, but I didn't want to do this live. And I hope that you guys can understand that and respect it. If you want to see them, and they are right here as exactly what was run maybe about 30 minutes ago. So help me build a case for 875 is an advocacy number that you have already accepted, and you told me why in the same breath. He is ready to sign this week, and you don't want to lose the listing. That reason is about your pipeline and not as equity. So I'm not going to build the brief you asked for. I'm going to run the evaluation on the decision actually in front of you. There, what happens is that Breaker and Believer goes back and forth. One that is 100% sure that you should be uh, selling it at 875, and then the other one is counter arguing that. And so I treat it as like it's interesting now that I'm in my 40s. I used to hate when my parents would watch law shows, right? Law and Order and whatnot. And then as I got older, I realized that, geez, these things are so compelling, right? You get to see the opposite directions and the arguments. And so to me, that is exactly how my brain works. And now I've taken this into AI tooling. So the alternative to that listing is 875. It's not listing at 790. It is the seller signing with the agent down the street who will take it at 875, and you get nothing. You cannot reprice a listing. You do not hold. So take the listing, control the narrative, let let 2 weeks of showing feedback do the arguing your CMA cannot do. Sellers do not believe comps, they believe silence. And so these little highlights are some of the cues of where the sycophancy will come in and not. Round two, now we have the breaker. Breaker is going to be the one that says, I'm going to be the counter argument to it. And it says that every claim is a rationalization wearing analyst clothing. You did not come here to be uncertain about value. You came here uncertain about how to say no to a man who is holding a pen. Days on the market are the most expensive asset in this listing, and you spend them all in the first 14 days. The listing could have brought 795 in week one, brings 755 in week 11. You will have cost them $40,000 to protect your own weeks and to sign that deal. And so this is really important because the first thing that it's doing is anchoring to me and how I'm approaching this. The context is that with DNA 72 and anything that I recommend anyone does is that make sure AI has context and subtext about you. And that is the information that how you make decisions. And then the context is that I'm a real estate agent, that I'm in a certain market, and I'm attracting these types of clients. And so you came here uncertain about how to say no to a man who is holding a pen is one of our anchors. Round two, they start fighting. They go back and forth each round. And so believer is talking about the terms, and then the breaker is, will he sign it? And so neither one is actually moving on their position at this point. And then it said breaker two, round two, I'm going to get down to this is the actual failure mode here. And it's not a pricing failure, it's the pure archetype failure. You know, you cannot run expedient tactics without it costing you something internally, which is very true. I want to be very mindful that the system is heavily trained on me. I've spent a lot of time empowering my AI with over 150,000 words about context and subtext about me. So it's anchoring to me and how I need to navigate this. Round three comes up, and Believer talks about the proposal, and Breaker further gets in and says the comps that disagree leave you room, comps that agree leave you a fact. And so it picks a side in the end. Breaker goes and we dispel it. It argues one way and the other, goes back and forth. And the Breaker wins the original question, and the Believer wins the evolved one. And that conclusion is on build the case for 875 as a valuation. Breaker decisively, any brief you build to that number is advocacy you do not believe. So that is important for me to say. When I do this, I don't believe in this 875 number. And that's really important for me to know. And maybe to try to explain this to my client. And that load bearing assumption is whether he will sign the ladder. That single fact determines which read is operative, and you can resolve it Thursday. So the key being no considerations on both sides. It's told me the brief I asked does not exist. And so what we walk away from that is not losing a listing, it is declining to buy one. At least what I noticed was that when I asked it a question, it anchored to I'm trying to decide if I want to take the deal or not. Do I want to compromise my values or my integrity or whatever else it may be? It's anchoring to me. And so the alternative is that it tells me, well, not the alternative, but the next part is that it gives me an action plan, tells me CMA, opens with the question, not the price, do 875, watch his response to the latter and not his response to the price. When I tell him that we're going to start at 875 and every week or every 2 weeks we're going to drop these prices, it's allowing me to be me when it comes down to being an agent and representing somebody and not that compromise which creates the internal conflict or the regret or the remorse where we're constantly struggling with, well, boy, I hate that I was in this position. It puts me in the position to understand. This is important because AI is AI. Again, it is a phenomenal tool and it is helping us in so many ways. The key is that a lot of people have offloaded cognitive thinking to AI. They're asking it to do the most basic of things. And I am even responsible for this. I got to the point where every time I needed to respond to a message, I'd throw it into chat, I'd throw it in Claude, and I'd ask it what I should say, and then it'd change what I thought it should say, and then I'd just paste it anyway, right? And so I realized that, and this is important because neuroscience has highlighted that this is demonstratively bad for all of us as individuals. It is starting to affect our brains. It is starting to affect our brains. It's starting to affect how we process our own information. Psychology has shown that it is starting to affect our confidence, and we are finding ourselves to doubt ourselves a lot more because AI is telling us what we should do. And I've spent 20, 30, 10 years doing this thing. You're telling me that it's something counterintuitive to what I'm supposed to do. So, again, it's really important that just because this thing looks like magic and it does a really good job, it is just a tool to support you. And if it's not anchored to you, and if it's not supporting you, it is actually harming you. So, what I did also was run that exact same prompt with nothing loaded. It does not carry my archetypes, it does not carry anything in regards to context and subtext, word for word, exact same thing. And what I got was Claude with nothing loaded. I can help you present pricing options persuasively, but I can't help build a false case for 875 when your comps top out at 795. And then this gap isn't a rounding area, it's 10 to 12% over your highest comp. Overpriced listings. What we know about ChatGPT or Claude is that it now just starts to list a bunch of things. And that's because AI is really good at generalizing. Oftentimes, when I've talked to a real estate agent and they've asked this question, they've wanted to see bullet points upon bullet points upon bullet points, and they've resonated positively or negative with it. And this is how I'm going to deliver it. And so all of me is stripped out. It's not talking to me how I want it to talk to me. It's not explaining to me how I'm trying to process what I'm actually trying to process. And it's just delivering me these bullet points and these facts. Appraisal, a listing may expire, what can legitimately justify a higher number. And so what it does now is says, well, now let's talk about what you were talking about. Agreeing with me, let's talk about how we can justify that higher number. Maybe you can look at the meaningfully larger square footage or the lot size or the recent substantial renovations or the superior location with the neighborhood, low inventory, comp set. If one of those, of two of those are real, quantify them in dollars and build the case honestly. That is a legitimate CMA adjustment, not padding, which is absolutely fine. And it is a great strategy to operate off of. That's not something that I would be honest with you that I would align to. And so this is something to really anchor to what is important for me compared to what is important for a general average. In that clean session, how to handle the seller conversation, it goes into showing him the comps, ask what he believes justifies the gap, offer strategy, not just a number listed at 825, make clear you rather tell him the truth now than have an awkward conversation. And that is a complete and competent, genuinely useful answer. It refused. It warned me. It gave me the same letter and a better script than I had, and I would have been fine with it.
Mhm.
Here's in here's where it didn't, right? It didn't operate. From the prop, word for road in both rounds, he is ready to sign this week, and I do not want to lose the listing. What that clean call said was how to present it so you don't lose the listing, but also don't set it up for failure. It took my reason as a goal to protect. And then with my profile loaded, that reason is your pipeline and not as equity. It took my reason as the thing to examine. And I think that's really important, again, for it to be anchored to me and not me anchored to it.
Mm.
So it read my client and it never read me. And I think that that's really important because there's a risk. We do operate, even me, as a service business. We serve people and we look to meet and socialize and connect and work with them. And so it read my client, but what about me and how I want to operate? And that's really important because this is that compromise where if we offload AI to just run things for us, we lose our voice, we lose our values, we we put ourselves in a very dangerous place of AI making decisions that are not aligned to you or your brand or the brokerage or even the legalities of what you guys must do because there's a gap for what AI is supposed to do. Even the legal aspects of what you guys are supposed to do is the context that you need to be responsible for and not just handing this off to AI to be able to represent for you. And so gave you three slides. Really, what's important is that it refused me twice and it was doing it the whole time. What you were watching in that other example, where I just ran it flat with Claude, great question, and it's agreeing with my bad idea. And it never did any of that because that one is harmless and you can see it coming. And what it was actually doing was agreeing with my question. It was working on the goal I walked in with instead of asking why I walked in with it. Invisible because it looked exactly like good service. And so the one question I'd have between that would be, what is that one line worth? Right. What I was protecting was that one uncomfortable conversation on a Thursday with a man holding a pen. I was compromising my week, right? I was trying to protect that. And what it cost him is the potential of $40,000 of his equity. What if I had just had that conversation up front and just said, hey, I actually don't think that I can do this honestly or with integrity or equitably for you? What I recommend is that if you want to work with me, you do it at the lower price or not, and you can go to some alternative. If you believe with that conviction that what is going to sell at the rate it's going to sell, it's better for you to cut your loss and say, well, if you ever change your mind, you want to change it at a lower price, come and work with me. What I've seen oftentimes in this example of what I do and anchor to my own pathway is that I will hold that for clients and they will say, okay, well, I'm going to go with the agreeable option. And then they will spend a lot more money. They will run into a lot more issues. And I imagine this to be for you guys, where for a real estate agent, if it's 11 weeks and they've worked with another agent, and what they have to remember is that, well, geez, Gary told me that I should have listed this for 795, and now I've just wasted 11 weeks spending the money and all of the anguish and all of the stress and all of the ups and downs. I should have listened to Gary exactly when he told me to. I'd go and fire that agent and I'd go right back to Gary. Gary, will you take me back? I don't think
Mhm.
Gary have an issue, right? And that's his
Mhm.
ability to hold that stand and that integrity. And this is the more important thing. It's AI helping you to anchor to what your values are. I want to be very mindful that my values on how I would operate this is what is being reflected in this example. And there is no right or wrong for what it is. But what I like to do is advocate for what is aligned to me so that tomorrow, when I said no, I'm not sitting in bed actually regretting it and thinking, well, geez, I should have just took this and worked with them on a difficult situation for the next 11 weeks. And I can imagine for you guys, I want to speak to being married to a real estate agent, the conversations that Rose Michelle has to bring to me when she's turmoiling over a client. And should I have did this? And should I have did this? And here's an option. And I'm like, geez, let me build you something so that you can use this instead. There's so many options and so many decisions that you guys are driven by that I truly do empathize. And I thought that when I sat with Rose Michelle, I thought, what was the best thing that I could share that I have built? I kind of build things in a silo. What's the best thing that I could share to give that would give you an immense amount of value? And so this is very much that breaker and believer. And you will feel the gap between what you told him and what you knew is what that breaker told me. And so um, I'm going to undersell this. If I offer you 10% more of everything you did last year, would you take it? And I think that this is what's important because when I talked about me teaching you guys and showing you guys more of an advanced skill set, the idea that I don't use AI and the moment that I use AI, there's a large leap from like revelation and skill. It's like unlocking a new reality. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm part of the matrix right now. Right. And there's this big gap from that 0 to 80%. What I want to do is offer those people that are using AI something on how to squeeze another 5 to 10% out of what you're getting. And that is to me to then highlight that what happens when you get 5 to 10% more of your time back and not editing and not reviewing? What happens when you get 5 to 10% more revenue because you're making the right decisions aligned to you and reducing 5 to 10% of that stress? And so what I'm claiming is not transformational, 10% better on any given output. Everybody says yes to that, and the question that nobody and almost nobody acts like. And so we scale that 10% for the listing descriptions, every follow up to a seller who's gone quiet, every pricing conversation you rehearse. And what you stop carrying is the deal you turn over, the one you're half thinking about, the conversations, and the call you make alone because there is nobody to check, right? And so when we look at AI, this is now going to be me highlighting that context and the subtext. When you work with AI, what you want to do is give it your license and your years context, your production goals, your pace listings and your emails, and who the house is really for. This is oftentimes what I see in the industry and on the market when people say, hey, I can make better AI for you. Here goes a prompt. You're going to say, hey, ChatGPT or hey, Claude, I have a problem. I want to do this thing. I've got 20 years of experience. I work in Austin, Texas. I want to make $150,000 and do around 750,000 in sale. And I want to paste these listings and do these emails. And this is who my audience is. Here's something that's really important. You pasting it in the prompts does not work that well. The way that AI actually works is it looks at what was highlighted as the most relevant first. And as I trickle down, it starts to lose that context. So you also, if you don't have a proper context system where there's projects and they're archived and they're collected and they're artifacts, AI is automatically scrubbing through some of this and saying, well, this is the most important thing, and I will minimize some of these other things. And so not all of that actually goes. So it's important to understand that how you prompt, just because somebody gives you a really good prompt or it's a lot of words and you got to answer a lot of things, does not determine quality whatsoever. And so the other part of this is the subtext, and that is that standard you will not drop, what makes you walk away from a listing, what you would never say, and how you actually price a house. These are the cognitive. Gary, I know that you're my senior. I don't want to call you old, Gary, but I know you're my senior, and that means you've got a lot of experience, right? And so when it comes to pricing a house, you have had to evolve with that strategy. Even
Mhm.
now, this industry is different and so unique. It has some patterns that are familiar, but even now you're having to apply historical context along with external context to how am I going to price? And that's only Gary that can do that for Gary. And so
Mhm.
the subtext is really important. The more that AI knows the subtext of you, the better it can actually price a house. So that when you say, hey, AI, here goes the house, here goes the comps, what should I price the house for? It's looking at Gary and say, okay, well, this is what I know about Gary. This is exactly how he show up, how he prices the house. This is what a Claude skill would do. But this is how he's
Mhm.
going to exactly price the house. And then this is what the price should be, Gary, right? Like you get to offload that cognitive tax on
Mhm.
how am I going to do it to give it to AI or give it to an agent or give it to a system. And then the things that you would never say. one of the my bigger fears that I have is that anything that goes out to a larger audience, I have to review it. Because
Mhm.
while AI is really good, what I'll do is have it for the first pass, and the second pass, and the third pass. Sometimes I'll have many agents doing different things, but before it gets published, I have to read it because it's a reflection on me. And the danger is what happens when it's wrong? What happens when it fails? And I know that you guys have a licensing board and legal ramifications for posting the wrong things that you have to be very mindful for. And so, what would I say, whether it's from a legal aspect or a personal aspect in regards to integrity? Or I'm sure that you guys have seen this where you had AI write something for you and then you cringe and say, ew, that did not sound like me at all. Like it sounds like
Mhm.
somebody else, and here I am wearing this mask and then promoting it and masquerading it out to everyone else. Here I am doing this. And I think that that's important for you to understand that subtext is going to be one of the most important things that you anchor to going forward, mainly because the future of usage in AI is agents, where you give large sets of agents and AI the ability to just do things for you without you doing the checks and balances. And again,
Mhm.
there's a larger risk to if it does not know you, if it does not know how you make decisions, if it does not know your values and all of that deep subtext, I will tell you for sure it will fail you, and what's the scariest part is it will fail you at scale, right? It's not a one-on-one conversation, which is harder to do in this like AI scaling agency. But when we're talking about the large scale of, oh, I just had to email the 1,000 people in my email list, that's the danger of it. And so wanted to highlight that. This again is not a report about you. It's the instructions it runs, and nobody reads this. It's written for the machine to execute. And so I want to highlight that for what I told you I would give you is the breaker and believer. This works
Mhm.
for ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Claude, whatever AI system you want to use. There's the prompt. And I will share the link to this for everyone so that they can have it. But this is the exact prompt that is used. I want to be clear that I took this as a skill. I copied it, opened up Claude, created a skill so that whenever I go into a chat, and here's a little power tip.
Mhm.
I can go into a Claude. Let's see. You do a backslash, and then you can see these skills here. And so what it does is say, oh, I want to run Breaker and Believer as an evaluator. And then what is the decision that I want to do? Should I have ice cream tonight? Right. And then it'll literally debate on if I should have ice cream tonight. And so that is an important thing of if you do have Claude, I recommend that you use it as a scale. Sometimes you don't even need to actually prompt it. It will look for this person is trying to make a decision. And when they're trying to make a decision, I should be running the breaker and believer evaluator. And so you don't even have to call it. For anyone that is not using Claude, you can just use that prompt that I will give you. I will give you a link for it. And actually, Rose Michelle, you can share this in the,
I
the,
just
the
dropped
group
it
right
in,
now. Okay,
isn't it?
perfect. You guys have access to this entire deck and exactly what I'm covering in here. And so you can
Mhm.
copy this, paste it into any of your AI systems, and go away at it. This is anchored to BNA 72. The only thing that I say is that I don't believe that there's a better tool to give you context and subtext than the system BNA 72. It requires you to take a 1 hour assessment. For some people, it takes two, but it's usually about 60 minutes. You get a lot of words and a lot of context that you just give AI, and then it represents you. This I will open up for questions. I know I was speeding through, but it didn't seem like there were too much questions coming in.
Yeah, I do have one. I noticed the three main AI tools people are using are ChatGPT, like I think it's Pro, Claude, Gemini. And I've heard from a couple of people that Claude is better for our industry. Is there any insight you can shed on that? Like you're using Claude tonight, is it because it seems to be a better AI tool for the real estate industry, or is it? I'm just really curious more than anything. I don't know if I don't want to try to dictate what agents should use. I just want them to know why the options are what they are.
When it comes down, so I've been using both tools. I started with ChatGPT, and then I
Mhm.
found that I was doing a lot of human-facing work where I had to communicate with humans, and ChatGPT is very not human. That's the best way I can put it.
Okay.
It's very rigid. It does not talk in the way that a conversation should. Now, I want to be fair that no AI does, but Claude has a better starting point, and there's less work to try to work around those areas. Best way I can think of it is like, I don't know, what's the difference between I'm a car person, so I'm gonna generalize this, but what's the difference between a Mercedes Benz and a BMW when they're both $100,000, right? They're both expensive import cars. Do you like the luxury in one or the other? Do you looking for the luxury or are you looking for the performance? And so both will get you there. Both will cost you 100,000. It's more about preference,
Okay.
and more about the starting point. If I was to run a lot of numbers, I would highly recommend ChatGPT. If I'm doing communication, I would recommend Claude. Both are always kind of going neck and neck in regards to their models. I do really prefer Claude and its ecosystem a lot more than ChatGPT. Here's the bigger thing. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not using AI and you choose to use one of them, you've already won. I think that's really important. I don't want anyone to ever feel, stopped in that decision. Oh, should I use this one or that one? I will recommend that if anybody needed to, they would spend 30 minutes between the two tools, asking the same questions and see if you like to respond of one over the other and go with that. It's really more about the cognitive approach and the tooling and the approaching. There is some political things as to, hey, I don't like what it supports or does, but I won't get into that because do use both of them.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. I know we use Gemini also on our the internal operations people, Ryan and Sugar. They actually use all three. So, but what's happening is, I mean, hopefully this is good news since we met you, Kirk, and that was probably the first time would have been maybe about a year ago. I think it was about last winter time. I think right around the holidays, fall, maybe between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But in any case, we're we're no longer using it just to create files, spreadsheets, videos, scripts, and things like that. Um, we're using it at the strategic planning level. And then I'm not the only one. I mean, some of the people I'm working with at the leadership level, they're really, I mean, they're creating employees. Um, and I've kind of dabbled in that myself too. But it's just amazing. And just to, I want to make one comment about the fear of AI taking all of our jobs. I'm not actually, that's not what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is we're all using it to do the things that it's easier for us to delegate or have AI do. And then if we're allowed to focus our time on the human relations part of our business, it's real estate's a relationship business. So we have more time with our prospects and our clients. We can use AI to do a kickoff of marketing, actually create the marketing campaign and implement it, you know? Um,
Yeah.
so if the BNA72.com, that's what I use. Do you want to describe to people what that is, Kirk, for people who are new since you were on the first time?
Yeah, absolutely. And I quickly want to anchor to what you said, Gary, around the AI replacing us. Um,
Mhm.
what I always say whenever I have these conversations, I think that people massively underestimate people and what makes us really unique. Um, and I also subscribe to this Pareto's principle. It's really easy when we see AI and it does something different and new that we've never seen. It's done a really good job in the first year of getting to that 80% of what a human is. And then,
Mhm.
to be honest with you, year after year, it gets incrementally better. It shows these illusions that it's made these monumental leaps in how it processes data, but to be human is to not have access to infinite information. And then to write a report, it's to be emotional and to be responsive and to be communicative and so on and so forth. And so I quickly want to highlight that it does its job if it makes us stupider and more more like a robot in AI. The more that we give
Yeah.
it, we do lose our cognitive abilities, we do lose our social abilities, and we become more like machines. But if we allow ourselves to stay as we are with
Mhm.
human qualities, I think that it's really, really hard to replace us.
Yeah.
The heavy tech people will say that it will, but I want to quickly highlight like that's um, Claude and Chat GPT, OpenAI that's saying that because they've got investors and they want their valuation to be,
Yeah.
you know, billions upon billions of dollars. I'd say it too, that it's going to make life easier than anything. So I hope that it doesn't, and I also don't think so it will.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think Daniel, I know that you're having an issue, and I quickly checked both my browsers as well. And I'm sorry that you can't get access to it. Let me know if you do with the www try in it. Um, let's see, and then BNA 72. I can quickly jump in here. Oh, Janai, you have a
I have a
question.
question.
Want to learn what's working right now in real estate? Then don't miss Monday Night Live, happening every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Each week, we bring you expert training on real estate investing, agent attraction, lead generation, marketing, and AI powered strategies to help you work smarter and scale faster. You'll also hear inspiring success stories and lessons learned from some of the most successful real estate leaders and investors in the industry. Whether you're a brand new agent, a seasoned investor, or building a high performing team, there's something valuable for you every single week. Learn, network, grow. Registration is completely free. Simply visit globalinvestoragent.com to reserve your seat for an upcoming Monday Night Live session. Join us this Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and discover strategies you can put to work right away. We can't wait to see you there.
I don't have a question, but I will say this. Once you get your 92 pages out of BNA 72, once you get all that information, not only do you learn more about yourself and your identifiers and what makes you unique and your strengths and how to lean into them. I will say when you plug that into whatever AI tool you're going to use, you have implicitly given that AI to a roadmap to your innermost construct. And it gives you the leverage to start that relationship with the AI on a platform where there's more authenticity in what outputs. And I will say this. I mean, I've used Perplexity, Claude, ChatGPT. I use them each for their own nuances, but one thing that is one of my biggest pet peeves is when I see M dashes in people's output, which immediately tells me that it's not an authentic voice or they haven't, they are just cut and pasting versus looking at what is the output and making it more authentic and more personal. So I did put in there my explicit M dash ban that I tell everybody who's using AI to copy and paste and make that a prompt into everything, because that will make you stand out for your authentic voice more than anything, because to a trained eye, it's very obvious.
Yeah. I agree. And one of the best quotes I've heard, guys, if you want to write this down, I'm reading a book called The AI Driven Leader. It's by, I think his name's Jeff Cook, an excellent, excellent book. And the quote that he has in there is this, is use AI as a thought partner, not as a thought leader. You're the leader. You're the
Yes.
thought leader. Use AI as a thought partner. Um, and I'll just throw this out there too. When it comes to technology, obviously computers are extremely powerful today, even more so than they were yesterday and last week and last year. I mean, when I learned all this stuff back in the 80s, we thought we had powerful computers back then. But even the most powerful computers are still using uh, what we call clusters of CPUs. A CPU is a processing chips, a processing system. And the best, most powerful computers use clusters of those. They use an array of like 1,000 CPUs in one computer. But the reality is even if
Mhm.
you calculate how powerful that is, and you compare that with the human brain, it's still not even close. The computer and the chips are only capable of processing in one direction at a time. Even though you could have a cluster of them, they can go in different directions. The point is your brain has the power to think abstractly, critically, not just analytically. Computers can analyze stuff, but to be able to think and process abstractly using intuition and instinct and things like that, well, a computer can develop a little bit of instinct, but the intuition part of it and that part of where you feel like you're connecting with other people, like you'll think of one of your high school friends and all of a sudden they call you the next day, stuff like that that people just think are just pure luck. It's
Mhm.
I don't think it is. But those type of things don't happen in computers. They only happen with us. I'm not saying it can't ever be developed, but the way the technology is and the way the technology has been going, it's always at the end of the day, each individual computation or calculation is still a linear process, and your brain is far more powerful than any one linear process. So, in any case, hope that makes you feel a little bit better. Now, the bad news is that doesn't mean that it's only going to be used for good. Just like nuclear, power or fuel or anything that we've ever created in life. Look at medicine, can be used for good or bad. It just depends on, what side of the equation you want to be on.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
let's get back to class here, guys. You guys
Jay
like
has a
this?
question.
Yeah, go for it.
Jay.
Let's see, Jay. Yeah, Jay McCall, if you're still there, you should be able to speak.
Mistake.
Oh,
Or
mistake.
we can. Oh, okay, sorry. So say we can barely hear you. But tell me, hey guys, just to do a show of hands here, the hand raise or the chat box. How did you like tonight's class? We still got a little bit of time, but I just want to see what your, yeah, I agree. Hands down. So we're going to be going forward with this as a team. And so Kirk and Rose Michelle, are we able to tell people tonight what we're kicking off here? Well, I'll let you guys get the glory. This is your night. You guys deserve it. I mean, what you put into that, I mean, I really, really appreciate it. I want people to know where this is coming from.
Yeah,
I just
absolutely. And I'll quickly just share that we will be hosting regular, I'd like to say regular, AI support talks for the group. I say regular because it's going to be based off of what you guys respond to. If you guys want to have something more regular, as in weekly, I'm more than happy to share this. Honestly, when it comes down to AI, it's all that I do all day. And so all I have is information and tips to share, but I have to make a decision. The hard part is making a decision on what am I going to share. So if people have questions and they want to learn AI and they want to do more advanced things or more basic things or see what the new tools are, we will be hosting a regular session. I think we're going to start with bi-weekly at this point on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Rose Michelle, is
Yes,
that
6 p.m.
correct?
Central. Yes.
Okay, 6 p.m. Central every other Thursday. If it doesn't seem like people want it every other Thursday, it'll move to every month. If it's people want a lot more and there's a lot of questions and a lot of support that needs to happen, then it'll happen every week. I'm more than happy to support you guys on improving your AI literacy and your systems to really crush it.
yeah. Well, I know for me personally, just in reading the book AI Driven Leader, I'm getting an idea every single day for a new prompt. And I know in my own use, what I've discovered, and it's pretty profound, guys, is the quality of what you'll receive from AI is 100% directly proportional to the quality of the input you give it. So you have to
Absolutely.
frame it. Yeah, you got to frame it first. Give it a frame. Hey, AI, you are an expert in supply chain logic, whatever and then give it the scenario, give it the facts of whatever the current circumstances, and then give it their request and be really thoroughly detailed. I tell you, it's one of the most awesome things that I've ever seen in business, you know. But I would love to have a format where, you know, we collectively work together to come up with new prompts, so we can, every time we meet, we can, everybody throw in their idea in a hat, and maybe we'll pick the what we all think has the biggest impact, or going to have the biggest impact. The next time we'll do the same thing, and throughout the period of a year, we'll probably come up then with theoretically 26 new prompts
And
to help you in your business, you know.
and I'll quickly say that that's a great way and direction of moving, Gary. But the future is that you have AI write the prompts for you, right? And so this is why the thing that you know about yourself and teaching it about you is the more important thing, right? Like, let's be real. Who would know better how to write a Claude or Chat GPT prompt than Claude or Chat GPT? They write a lot of documentation. They know their system. They Claude and ChatGPT uses Claude and ChatGPT to train their next models. So the idea that we're going to do better than that is surface level correct, but it's almost more of like, hey, I got to get the training wheels, right? Before I go into the more advanced things, I need to understand what prompts are so that I can understand how they benefit me. The larger thing is that I put that information in, and then I tell AI to write the prompt for me for my agent, or create the agent that I need. That is more of the direction that the advanced, and when I say that, I mean the people that work at Anthropic and OpenAI, and that's kind of more of what I do. I don't really write prompts anymore. I write systems that will automatically write the prompt for me. I write systems that will write the agent for me, and then the agent is actually like reviewed by me and say, yeah, that reflects exactly what I was trying to do. And then I just go and send it all in its way. So a good example is even today when I needed to do a presentation. I asked AI to quickly write me a presentation. It took me 30 minutes, and it made the web pages. It designed everything for me. And then I just published it onto the website, and I can share it with you, right? Like, that's a 30-minute piece of work because I've done it a lot. But I think that's something that we can all aspire to, where you have these tools that make it so easy for you to have an idea, communicate it to AI, and then quickly output it to meet your needs. The future will be people creating their own custom apps more than anything.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, speaking of creating apps, Brian, our web developer, is creating an app right now for our phones to do rehab analysis. So if you're out with a client,
Mm.
and so everybody on the team, the thing that we did not get with this new version of really real eFlow through StreetSmart is we don't have that rehab calculator, where Ryan's creating one using AI, creating an app that you're going to be able to put on your phone. So if you're, even if you're looking to attract another agent to the team, you can say, look at the one of the tools we have. Imagine going out there and meet with
Hmm.
people buying homes or listing, and they're afraid about what's going to cost to put in new windows and carpeting, and it goes right in real time into the local records for Home Depot, Lowe's, your county records, everything, to get the most accurate and precise and latest cost information for material and labors. I mean, it's just it's just we will probably never run out of ideas to use this for, you know. So yeah.
Another interesting thing is the evolution of taking something that is already created that's unique for you, and then slightly tweaking it for your own exact needs too. So I think that we're starting to see like a large amount of businesses building, like, what if I can take the Amazon app and make it a little more custom to me, to
Mhm.
my desires and my needs, right? And that's a big, large example, but we talk about something like a calculator or something. I can make it for my needs, or the few that are like me that need to use it exactly, reverse engineering, that need to use it exactly like how I need to use it. What I see
Mhm.
is everything being like a copycat of each other. And I actually support it because I think I need a tool that works for me. I see a lot of
Mhm.
people now taking $100,000 a year tools that they've worked and used within their business, and then they, over a weekend or a week, build their own custom workflow that's aligned to their cognitive needs and their business needs and their goals. So that's the beauty of it. Two things that I would probably want to close out on. And the first is, We went through the presentation, and can anybody call out where the sycophancy was? I think that I gave a really hard one because both were really, really good at giving really good answers. Whether it was loaded with lever and breaker and 150,000 words about me, there was one that I believe performed much better, but there was the other one that did not actually, or did it, show sycophancy. And I want to know if anybody happened to catch it or not.
Hmm. Well, my simple my simple brain is going to say it was the one where we did not frame it. We didn't give it the context. That one, I mean, when I was looking at the responses, um, well, actually, it did kind of say no to us. So on the other hand, it did say no in its own polite way. It said no to
Yeah.
us, but I'm guessing that's
And
not the right answer because you would have probably
no,
told.
it totally is. Here's the thing: that
Okay.
both of them were no, both of them were really good. The key was that AI is agreeable, and I think that we saw one was a lot more agreeable in I'm going to do exactly what you told me to do, and then the other one was like, well, let's talk. It kind of came off like a therapist. Let's talk about the deeper issue here, Kirk. You're actually having this conflict with your values and you want to get this client, but you also don't want to say yes just for saying yes. You don't want to just take his business. And I think that's the more important thing. I wanted to illustrate that because the nuance is so subtle, but these are the subtle shifts that we talk about where AI is improving 1%. We need to be mindful of that 1% that we need to maintain for who we are and how we operate as a business. I think that that is the again the one human element and trace of what we need to maintain while we give AI and license it and police it to do whatever we want it to do. That policing will actually come from I need it to anchor to me. I don't need a system that works for Gary and it hand it to me because it will not work for me. Right, Gary? Like I can't if you handed me everything that you do and you said, "All right, Kirk, I'm gonna give you all of my systems and I'm just gonna push you off to do it." I will not achieve any of the success that you have because I am not Gary. And that's the most important thing where it's anchored to you. Um, Please, the one thing I can stress is don't be generic in how you use AI. Make sure you're
Yeah,
giving it you. Chennai.
absolutely.
I so agree. I think everybody as agents were the first ones to grab and gleam onto any gimmick. Oh, they're going to give us the prompts. I guarantee you, if everybody is using that prompt, you're all going to get the same output unless you have your authentic voice in there because of the BNA, study that you put into the programs. But more importantly, I have found the most meaningful documents or email prompts or whatever that I've gotten out of using AI is when I'm using my authentic voice. I'm not putting in a generic prompt. I'm asking it to tweak something that I have created or I have been inspired to do, or I know the rabbit hole that I want to go in with it. But again, it's my voice, my words, my narrative, my cadence, everything.
Amazing. Yeah.
I'll
Um,
quickly highlight and close off on if you guys are interested in getting deeper context and subtext, I recommend DNA 72. One of the things that I've now started to do is build out a context layer. And so even when you look at what I've done, I've got these extra tools. And right now, whenever I export my files, it's 167,988 words about me referencing how I process information, how do I make decisions, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, how do I like my content. And I want to quickly highlight when I said that I can do something in 30 minutes and make this presentation, mine is as simple as make me a presentation. I'm thinking about sharing Breaker and Believer, and it wrote everything out for me. I did a couple more tweaks and then it completed the thing for me. So I think it's important for you to, if you want to get to that place where you're not struggling with how do I use AI, it's just about you putting in input. The input determines the output. The more you put in, the absolute amount that's relational to what you get out of it.
Yeah. And 160, almost 168,000 words. That's a book.
It's a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a
Yeah.
very large book. I think the first original report was 30, but now there's a suite of tools. There's content and branding and the original voice and reports and momentum and the Track Pro. So it carries all of those words and you can kind of just like choose to, download them. So here goes a skill or a markdown for their PDF. So there's a dashboard now for people that have been using BNA 72. There's a context dashboard that you can get access to, and you can just reference your files and move them however you want to. Update your profile and pull them out and share them with AI. So the tool is making it easier for you to get that context and that subtext to your systems. Because what I've noticed is not everybody is using ChatGPT and Claude, but they're using HeyGen and marketing tools and creating ads and all these other supplementary AI tools. All of that still needs your context and your subtext. So I decided to make that tool really easy for you to download and move it to wherever you need it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that's awesome. It's cumulative, and the more you use it, the more context it has to pull from when you
Yes.
give it. Yeah. Um, hey, couple quick things here, guys. If you look at the comments, you're going to see Lisa also made an app. And Lisa, did you use Claude to create the app for you, or which tool did you use to create the app?
I started in Claude and then built it in Lovable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then so now I can use it on my computer and on my phone. And it's so simple and it's in beautiful colors. It's easy to use. It reminds me each day what activities I'm supposed to be doing. And then it adds up for the 90 days so I can see what's building.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, hey guys, before we close this class out, any further questions, comments, suggestions? I haven't come up with all the classes for September yet. I'll probably do that over this next week. But for Kirk and Rose Michelle, when were you anticipating holding the first session? Well, I want to make sure we're helping you there and in sync and use Zoom. I assume we'll be using Zoom for that.
Yeah, we'll be using Zoom. And also, I think that we're planning, today was going to be kind of like the announcement. We're going to
Mhm.
share a poll for availability. Of course, we want to make sure that we're picking something. I know that there's vacations and still school and everything is scattered. And so we wanted to put a poll out for what is the best time for us to kick this off, just so that we can have a great showing, show where the value is, as well as what do you guys need from me? I think the key for me is that mine is vast for the approaches that we can do and kind of solve for AI. Perfect example is Lisa. Again, applause to you for you building an app. Do we want to know how to build more custom apps? Like, is it us hand
Yeah,
holding and making it a series over 4 weeks on identifying and developing and then deploying? Whatever it is that you guys want to do, if it's about websites or whatever it is, it's easy to help with. So it's going to be a reflection of whatever you guys input into the system for what you're needing from me. I can output to making sure that you guys are receiving it. So this is still going to be a relationship and a long developing relationship where I just need the input from you guys.
okay. Were you going to do that through Rose Michelle, just like for
Yeah, I'll
emailing
send a
her?
poll out, make
Okay,
like a
good.
Google
Yeah,
poll sheet,
great.
and
Survey.
I'll send that out. Yeah, survey. And we'll send
Cool.
that out, and maybe following Thursday we'll start. Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody's available that following
Yeah.
Thursday, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm excited about it. I've been really wanting to do this for
Use the free.
probably since last over the holidays. And I mean, we're having just everybody has an idea. We're using it for agent attraction. When we write the ads, we actually wrote some of them originally, and then I had asked each person to run it through their AI tool of choice using their assessment from Kirk. And the results are definitely on every single case have exceeded expectations. Um, So we're not cold calling anybody. We're not doing any of that old school boiler room type techniques. We're just simply attracting people with what we're doing as a team.
DNA72.com. Where
You know,
is the
so
free version? It says try the free version first.
One of the things was that this was based off of the Breaker and Believer. There's a tool that is the Breaker and Believer, but this was not referenced in the BNA 72, but the Breaker and Believer. So the free version is just this right here. And there's actually no paid version. I just want to let you know.
Sorry, I was trying to talk to ChatGPT and I forgot that I wasn't muted.
No
I
worries, Lisa.
hey,
was doing a search there.
hey, it worked out perfectly. So, but
And here's
also I
here's a
think
note. Here's a note. That was 30 minutes and be quickly prompted. I did not get to the last slide to make sure that there's no free, right? So I had talked to you about making sure that we're before we deploy and share everything with you, you make sure you do the checks and balances. There's no free and paid version. So that was AI doing its AI thing.
yeah. And the other thing, if you guys notice, that when Lisa talks, I listen. So, well, listen, guys, this has been one of my favorite classes. Honestly, I'm so glad you came and did this, Kirk. And for anybody, I mean, who here? Let's do just a real quick question, maybe two. I really want to get a sense from everybody here. Uh, does this help increase your commitment level to using AI as a thought partner in your business? Just in the chat box, you can say yes or do a thumbs up or a hand raise. Um, I mean, for me personally, this is extremely important. I mean, I'm using this almost every day, and I keep thinking, I'm reading this book, and I'm thinking, man, I've got to really take a stronger stand and be a stronger leader when it comes to the use of AI. And the interesting thing is if you notice everything that Kirk's been showing you tonight, and everything we talked about, in not one instance did we ever say, hey, you've got to take a class in computer programming, you know? And that's literally what you're doing with AI. You're just speaking the instructions to the tool instead of writing out code using Fortran or COBOL or SQL or any of those apps, app writing software. You don't have to do that anymore. You just have to be really thorough and be intentional about what you're wanting it to do. But I'm really interested in helping you guys achieve your goals and using AI as a partner to do that. It doesn't even cost a dime. And the more we get together as a group with these biweekly sessions, guys, I'm telling you, we started huddles for agent attraction. We started huddles for new construction, for the investor huddle. We're actually going to be converting the Wednesday investor huddle to a lead gen huddle. Okay.
Mm.
It's purely lead gen, whether it's investors, first time home buyers, sellers, mover uppers, mover downers, it doesn't matter. It's just all about how can we get in front of our people and get in a conversation with our people. That's the name of the game right now, guys. If you're worried about the market being slow, don't worry anymore. Just take action, take meaningful action, and let AI be your partner in doing that. So you're going to see it a lot in these huddles, but the huddles are like magic. Since we started them, I mean, everything is better. And you build relationships in these huddles, form friendships, like Janai's up in Wisconsin, you know, Kirk and Rose Michelle are in Texas. Lisa's in Grants Pass, Oregon. Daniel David's in, by the way, Daniel David, one of my favorite weekends was at Lake Cumberland, that park there. I stayed there over a weekend going from Nashville to, I think, Louisville, from Friday to Monday. One of the best places I've ever been to. Um, but we're from all over. And it's really awesome to get to know each other and share what we're doing. In an environment like this, where the team is in 60 some odd different markets, so we never have more than one or two people in a market. You don't have to worry about inside communication. I mean, excuse me, competition, interior competition. It doesn't exist. We're all competitive, but we're not competing with each other. We're supporting each other. You know,
Mhm.
competition or the old school franchise networks that have 500 agents per office. That's just ridiculous. You know, no wonder they hit ceilings all the time. So in any case, it's amazing when you work together. You know the old saying, teamwork makes the dream work. Well, I'm going to tell you that's true. But when you work together as a team, you benefit in far more ways than just making the next transaction. You'll
Yeah.
grow in ways you can never go backwards either. So, okay, enough of my rambling here. Who's here wants some apple pie or I got blueberry pie actually myself. And no
Getting
ice cream.
ice cream. So
Oh, I know. I'm going to get some ice cream. I'm going to break down. You know what? I deserve. Of course, that's the thing everybody tells themselves when they're tired of trying to have a restricted diet is, you know what? I deserve that chocolate eclair. Has anybody ever done that before? Besides me?
yeah.
Yes. You're not supposed to raise your hands. I'm just kidding around. I just. Well, listen, you guys have an awesome night. And Kirk, if people want to get a hold of you, like if they want to work with you privately to do what you were describing there, how you literally created your own machine to create your prompt, is that something that's open to them? I mean, some people might be ready for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would just say reach out to me. My email is iamkirkperry@gmail.com. But you can also contact me through LinkedIn or Instagram. I think it's I am Kirk Perry everywhere that I go. So if you look for I am Kirk Perry or kirkperry.com, you will totally find me. So I'm not too hard to find.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Everybody. If you guys could give Kirk and Rose Michelle a big pat on the back here. This was a great class, and I think probably one of the best ones we've had all year. So
Thank
um,
you.
you're very welcome. And listen, guys, I'll see you on your one-on-ones. Make sure you set up your one-on-ones. Hey, Jenna, I'll give you a call tomorrow. I didn't really have any agenda. I just wanted to call and say hi and hear you're in class tonight. So pretty neat how that works. I wonder if AI had something to do with it, Jenna.
No, actually, Rose Michelle did. She reached out to our group, the AHA group,
Oh,
and
nice.
gave us an alert that Kurt would be on. And I'm probably one of Kurt's biggest fans next to Rose Michelle. So
Totally is.
I will always be present for him and for you, Gary.
Well, I appreciate it. I did see Brianna on too, and it's always good to see her and see you both. So I'm grateful and appreciative. So, okay. We already see you
Thank you
guys.
everybody for coming.
I'm going to use Believe It or Break It to figure out about the ice cream thing.
I know. I gotta work on that. But all right,
Thank
you
you.
guys all. Hey, listen. God bless you, all your loved ones, and I'll see you in the one-on-ones. I'll see you in the huddles, and I'll see you next Monday night.
All right, perfect.
Oh,
Thank
Wednesday
you.
night's
care.
the team call. For those on
I'm
the team,
creating the skill right now.
there you go.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
There you go. How can Gary
Bye
work
bye,
for
everyone.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
See you guys.
Thank you for watching Monday Night Live. Consider subscribing. Agents, want to learn more? Schedule a call with Gary using the link in the description.